Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My apologies for running a few minutes late. Thanks for your patience. I will call the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Monroe.
Here.
Vice President Harris.
Here.
President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
And let the record show we are joined by the rest of council, absent Councilmember Smith and Councilmember Lightfoot. So we're going to open up today with a presentation from the Project Management Office. So I welcome Director Morris to tell us a bit about introductory number 169.
Thank you so much, sir. So let me first start by saying I'm so excited to present you with this solution, not just for...
Just bring the mic a little closer to you.
Sure. I'm excited about this solution, not just for what it means to the Project Management Office, but also for what it means to all city departments that will have a project or many projects run by the PMO. Let me start by giving you an idea about what a project and portfolio management tool is. It is a centralized tool. It's a very powerful one that helps project managers connect all projects together so that we do optimized management of resources. That includes cost, includes human resources, and helps us identify risks before they occur and being able to mitigate those risks. Again, a centralized location that will provide us with all what we need in a one-stop shop. How it works is plans are outlined, team members are assigned, projects are prioritized and aligned with city strategic initiatives, and then progress is entered. Every time we enter the progress, the charts are updated in real time, and the system provides us with dashboards and analytics that would help us identify problems before they occur and make sure we have optimized operations. The case for PPM, I chose two elements to present you with the case for a PPM and why it's going to be so much of great use to us. Time management. A good PPM tool like the one we chose will save project managers at least half an hour every day, and will save project sponsors at least half an hour every week. We have 6 PMs, we have 25 projects with at least 2 sponsors on every project, if not more. We do the math, we understand that it saves 40 hours a week. That's 1 full-time employee, and that's the minimum. The other element to it is insights. It provides us with real-time information about what's happening on all projects. It provides us with projections. Just as an example, it tells us if we keep moving at this pace, what will be the projected go-live date. We do have a go-live date. We do have a budget in place. But it tells us halfway through and much earlier, if we keep moving with this pace, how things would look like at the end. It can send automated emails and reports and proactive actions. How does that help? It saves a huge amount of time. Imagine leadership looking at a chart like this. This is a widget that by an initial look, without even implementing the tool, I can say, yep, I understand how many projects I have in Q3 calendar year, for example, going live in Q3 this calendar year. How those projects are doing by the color of the dot associated with each one of those. Are they at risk or not? This saves an initial conversation about what's going on this project and transitions us completely to how can I help keep that project on track. It helps us prioritize and align projects. It gives us complete visibility into what's going on those projects. And one core benefit, one key business value here is it maximizes financial resources. We're not just spending the budget we have, we're also finding ways to optimize the use of the budget and to do monitoring and control of every aspect of the budget and the projects that we manage. The RFP turnout was something that made us so confident that we will end up with the right solution. Why? Because the turnout was everything we wanted. We made sure that we get enough proposals to give us the assurance that we're going to get the right tool. We're going to select the right tool. We got 10 proposals in total with the top 5 leading names in the industry amongst those 10 proposals. This gave us all the confidence we need that we will end up with the right product, and gave us enough assurance that we can negotiate prices to get the best product for the best price. How we chose the right tool? We started with a well-defined list of requirements. Detailed, no ambiguity, all vendors understood it. Wide range of proposals. Small vendors to big names in the industry. Multiple demonstrations. We broke down the demonstrations into 3 main categories. The first was license and cost breakdown structure. This gave us the opportunity to find areas where we can negotiate the price and get the best price we need. The second category was how it will help a project manager, a day in the life. And the third category was how it will drive decision making. And we asked vendors explicitly to try to impress us with their solutions. And after extensive price negotiations, we were able to select the right tool for the city. The vision for that product is not just to be used by the PMO. We chose a product that would be easy to manage, easy to change and add more features, and easy to roll out so that other departments in the future, once we have a very successful implementation, can think about using it to manage their own projects, small or big. And we locked in the prices for the 5-year term to protect our investment.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the thorough presentation. You preemptively answered a lot of the questions I was going to ask, but let me just pull on them a little bit. You talked about the 5-year price lock-in. Now, does that include regular maintenance? I mean, if there's going to be any kind of technical assistance, is that baked into what we pay them on an annual basis?
Yes, this tool comes with unlimited number of tickets that we can open for technical issues that come with the we may come across, in addition to all future upgrades during the 5-year term. That's
great. Very happy to hear that. Sure. You also mentioned eventually rolling this out to other departments to actually lead their own work. Do you anticipate that happening in the upcoming fiscal year, or is this something that's a couple years down the line?
I would give ourselves as PMO and IT this coming fiscal year for the implementation and successful implementation. And when we master it completely, then I would imagine the following fiscal year is when we start presenting this solution to other city departments, showing them the benefits based on real facts, based on actual usage of the product, and we will be the ones to train them.
Great. And finally, in terms of the tool you chose, are there other municipalities, similar municipalities that use such a tool?
Yes, we reached out to marketplace.city before we issued the RFP to get an idea about who's using which tools. And frankly speaking, all the 5 leading names were used by different municipalities and government agencies.
Got it. So is there one city in particular that uses this tool that you have a relationship with and can ask them some kind of questions and feedback from?
Not really, but that tool is very widely known in the market, to the extent that gave us the assurance that we know it's a working product, we know it has been used before, and in my own personal experience, I've used many of those 5 leading names in the industry.
Got it. Councilmember Patterson.
Thank you. More general question about project management. Don't have a problem with purchasing the tool, but do we have folks in city government who have project management professional certification? We do. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I'm
Yes.
because you know.
At least at the PMO. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a significant body of people who have that certification, who know how to use this tool so that it will be utilized.
I would say they have the skill set to be able to use the tool. One of the first steps in the implementation is training. So we will get on-the-job training
Okay.
to all of us, and then we will master using the tool.
I see 3 people shaking their head yes, that we have a significant number of folks who have project management professional certification. So they
PMP and
we have
other
that.
certifications, yes.
Thank you.
I personally have PMP, PMI, ACP, and CSM.
Okay, I don't know what the other ones are. I knew the first one. I'll take take credit. Okay, you got it. You
We
win.
have plenty of those.
Councilmember Monroe?
Do you anticipate much in-house customization being necessary?
So we actually baked this into our equation. So first, we made sure that our requirements are very well defined. We made sure that the product would address all our requirements, including what can be a little bit not so out of the box in every product. And we made sure that the product fulfills those. In addition, we have included in our transmittal 50 hours of T&M time and material support that will be provided by the implementation team to help us with any uncommon scenario that we can come across, because even though we're very well prepared with our needs, there can always be something uncommon that once we start using the product can surface. But even in that case, we have that locked in terms of prices, and the price for that was greatly negotiated, and this can be used within any time frame within the first fiscal year of the implementation. So it will be at our convenience to use it at any point, and we won't pay the vendor for it until we start using it.
Thank you.
Any further, Councilmember Martin?
What mechanisms do you currently use for project management?
We use waterfall, an agile, and a hybrid approach.
Okay. And in your presentation, you mentioned sponsors. Can you describe what you mean by that?
Sure. So team heads who would reach out to me personally to start exploring their requirements, and who would be the ones to approve the budget. So maybe we can say department heads in that case. Those are the ones we identify as sponsors on every project.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions? All right, thank you very much for the presentation, Director Morris. Much appreciated.
Thanks so much.
And congratulations on picking a tool that you're clearly very excited about. It's wonderful.
Same here. Thanks so much.
Before we jump into legislative business, let me just state for the record that Councilmember Lightfoot has joined us. And I also want to welcome all our guests, but particularly want to welcome our former mayor, Tom Richards, as well. So let's move right into the legislative business. Introduction number 160, appropriating funds, amending the 24-25 budget, and authorizing agreements for community-based initiatives. Questions, comments, concerns? Councilmember Patterson.
Thank you, Chair Gruber. At this time, I'd like to offer an amendment to the legislation. There was a little error, nothing big, and I've passed that out to everyone. You all have it in front of you. If you see in the red, there is a section here that says age 3 to 5 years old. That's been stricken out, and it's been changed to entering the first, second, and third grades. That is the amendment that I am proposing to the legislation. Well, actually, yeah, I can't. Well, I don't know. Can I propose it? I'm not a member of the committee. I don't think I can propose an amendment to the legislation.
We will certainly get to the amendment.
Okay.
I assure you. Let's have a conversation about the introductory in general, and then we can add the administrative amendment. Councilmember Martin, you had a comment?
Yes. So I see this is sponsored by the 4 district council members. I'd be interested to just hear a bit about each of the programs they're choosing to fund and what processes they used for engagement and selection of these organizations.
I can go first.
Great.
Okay. So the summer literacy academies is just basically need. For the last 2 to 3 years in this body, the school district has come before us, and I have asked them about the poor performance of our children in reading. And I asked them specifically, so what are you doing around science of reading? And the first year, they effectively said they didn't know, which was kind of shocking. The next year, they came back and said, well, we're doing it, and we've been doing it. And the little inquiry with some folks who actually work with children showed that that was just not the case. And so this year, the question for me, and that I also posed to Vice President Harris, is, should we continue to complain or should we lead? And so we then decided to go out and look. And reading is not natural. It is an invention. It must be taught. But it's an invention that it is a process that a child can use to teach to another child. And what's innovative about this program, it's been running in New York City for 25 years, is that in addition to having teachers teaching children how to read, they actually employ high school students to work as reading buddies with these children. So for the entire time, so in addition to the children that will be participants in the program, there will also be employees of the program who are our children. Council Vice President and I have been very adamant about the locations for these programs. I'm looking at 22. I believe you're looking at, it's still going to always be, I'm so old, it's still going to be the old Madison, if memory serves me correctly. We looked at those locations because of the density of families and children in those areas and the ability to reach a lot of children without having to provide transportation. We are also looking at it from the perspective of there is a dearth of summer camps. So we're building it as a camp for a very simple reason. It's going to be, I think we're looking at 4 to 5 days a week, 5 hours a day. We're going to feed them. And nobody is really doing anything with this population of kids for that period of time. So we're looking at 45 kids at each site, some intensive training, and we're calling it a camp because it's not summer school. So part of what we're doing is that they are going to get out and they are going to play. So play is built into reading, and the hope is that at the bare minimum, we will eliminate summer learning loss, and at the maximum, these kindergartners going into the first grade will go hit the first grade running. The same thing with our first graders going into second grade. Second thing with our third graders going in. So that's what the approach is, and it's a pilot. We've never done this before here in Rochester. We had to spend a fair amount of time talking to the folks in New York City about even doing this in Rochester because they were like, where? So, no, they didn't do that. So we spent some time doing that. We have a local implementation partner who is going to recruit the children in the neighborhood, both groups of children in the neighborhood, I call them the babies who are receiving the programming, and also the older kids who are going to be paid through Summer of Opportunity. This is a partnership. It's not expressed in the legislation, but this is also a partnership with the Rochester City School District. They will be paying the teachers, and they will be providing the buildings. The idea being that we are trying to nudge people into the notion that you should be able to send your child to the school closest to your home, and that they will be successfully and properly educated. So we're looking to build multiple relationships in the community, across the community, in a time when these buildings would normally sit empty and do nothing for our community.
Thank you. Councilmember Monroe?
Sure. So the project that I'm proposing here is to create a Miyawaki forest in the city of Rochester. So a Miyawaki forest is a small urban forest that was pioneered by a botanist in Japan, Akira Miyawaki. What he did was take all native plantings, plant them very closely together, and introduce all the things that would go into a older forest biome. So this would include fungi and very well amended soil for whatever area in the world you're in. These are being implemented all around the world. Locally, somewhat locally in the Northeast, there are only a few. There are 2 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, 2 in Worcester, and Worcester is working on some more. Worcester is also similar in size to Rochester. They have a population of about 207,000 people. And then there's only one in New York, which is on Roosevelt Island in the Hudson River. So sustainability is very important to me. And in addition, the healthiness of where people are living. So a Miyawaki forest has the ability to bring cooling effects into a neighborhood. It is beautifying. Actually, trees are proven, according to the Arbor Day Foundation, that trees actually increase values of property. And I also wanted to work on some of the campaign promises that I made to people and that people responded to. And a big part of that was a commitment to finding a way to activate city-owned vacant lots. So the city does own a large number of vacant lots, and sometimes some are kind of sequestered with the hopes of a larger project coming along that could fill in there. Sometimes they sit because there's remediation that needs to happen. But even with the ones that we're saving, oftentimes it can be decades that then they're sitting there as vacant lots. And I think it's important, especially as we've seen such a great decrease in the population, certainly since its height in the 1950s. I think it's really important that we give these, in essence, give these vacant lots back to people, that we activate them, so that you could have, in a very residential street, you could have a mini forest. You would have the opportunity for kids to see what that looks like, the density of the growth, as well as the additional birds and other kinds of wildlife that would find its way there and start to make a home there. So I've discussed this project, obviously, with the administration, because what I'm proposing is for the $100,000 to go into cash capital. The administration has been fantastic. They've really embraced it. And I've seen a lot of enthusiasm around it, because not only does this support the city's current plans for sustainability, it also supports our forestry plan. And way in the back at page 72, there is a small piece there on Miyawaki forests. So I see this also as an opportunity to continue Rochester's progressiveness. You know, we like to be front runners and be ahead of things. And I think that the Miyawaki forest, given the small usage of it in the Northeast, will set us apart in that regard. I've spoken with different people kind of working in green spaces, like Greentopia, a professor at RIT who, I'm sorry, his name escapes me at the moment. And then I've also spoken with some of the local community organizations, service organizations. So Agape on Driving Park Avenue, Charles Street Settlement, Teen Empowerment, and then at different community meetings, just discussing what I was looking for here and what I am working to make happen. I want this to be able to be a pilot, and that then we can extend it out to other spaces. We identified 4 locations in the Northwest that looked like they could be good for this first rollout. We have narrowed it down to the corner of Driving Park and Dewey Avenue. There already exists a green space of about 10,000 square feet there, where there was a former Family Dollar store. So we believe, you know, pending any sort of problems that we find in the soil once testing begins, that is a good spot. Real estate is on board with it. And again, the administration as a whole has been very supportive.
Thank you. I'd like to just be conscious of time because we have some legislation that's going to require some conversation too. So I'll move it to Councilmember Lupien and then Vice President Harris. If we can just keep the answers pretty tight here, appreciate it.
Sure. The process that I used in my district was to put out a call to organizations and neighborhood groups to see if they would propose some projects. So we gave them kind of an online forum to do that with. And we got a number of submissions. And the ones that we ended up choosing had a broad community impact that extended outside of the East District, but they were based in the East District. So we chose the 490 Farmers Digital Accessibility Project, which aims to empower the community through sustainable food practices, digital educational resources, and accessibility for deaf individuals, including an educational video series and interactive map of a food forest to enhance food sovereignty and address food insecurity, which, you know, with the ending of SNAP and everything at the federal level could not be more important these days. The second project was Rochester Child First Network. They are a child care center on South Ave that has been around actually before the Civil War, I found out. But they support 160 in-home daycare providers, which sits at the intersection of, you know, Black female head of households, small business, and quality child care. And we felt like that was a very good use of funds. We are also supporting the Rochester Contemporary Art Center, who originated First Friday in the Rochester area and need some sustainable funds to help support that initiative across all arts organizations in Rochester. And finally, the Southeast Area Coalition, SEEK, they have a mobile tool shed program which brings a unit with tools to our centers every week to extend their reach to the entire city.
Thank you. Vice President Harris.
Thank you. I echo the remarks of my colleague Patterson as we worked on our projects together in tandem. But I would like to speak more to the South District and how it relates to some of the initiatives I've already worked on and getting feedback from the community through the Childhood Poverty Initiative that I put out the report recently. And in that report, it outlined several things, including education as part of one of the feedbacks that, you know, we get from the community related to childhood poverty. So it's no secret to this community that education is one of the pillars that helps upward mobility in this community, and it has been a challenge that we've been dealing with the reading and comprehension for our youth as they continue to move through our school systems. So in the South District, you know, I've been working with connecting with True Impact Incorporated, which is a proven nonprofit that's worked in the 19th Ward. They already have an after-school program. They work out of School 16. They've been proven to do that over the years. So spoke with the organizers and talked to them about how can we expand what they're doing and bring that into a summer program in partnership with what Mr. Councilmember Patterson is doing with the other nonprofits. So I believe that, you know, this is one of the things that can help support the upward mobility of children in our district. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to move this forward. I will say clearly everyone put a lot of work into it, and the projects are really interesting and diverse. They cover a wide range of subjects. I didn't know or see about any of these, and I'm sure I don't imagine the other at-large council members did until it came to us in committee. I would have loved an opportunity to talk about it, and if these are things that we're going to continue to do moving forward, maybe there's a way for us to bake in a little bit more process to it. But I'm happy to move it forward. Also, I'll take first we need to amend instruction number 160. Do I have a motion for the amendment that Councilmember Patterson put forward?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Committee.
All in favor?
I'm not on the committee.
I'll second.
Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now let's vote on the motion as amended. Instruction number 160. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
So moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruction number 161, amending ordinance number 2024-362 relating to a grant agreement and an appropriation to install a community messaging sign at the Engine Number 5 Firehouse located at 450 Lyle Avenue. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruct number 162, authorizing an agreement relating to the 2025 Rochester Fringe Festival. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved.
Oh, I just had one question,
Please.
Chair Gruber.
Yeah.
For this one, and actually in advance for item 163, could we just get a list of what the costs of the in-kind services were for each of them? And I guess going back probably to the end of the pandemic once these started up again. So maybe 3 years.
We'll provide that in writing.
Thank you.
I'll take a motion in a second on 162.
Move it.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruct number 163, authorizing agreement with Puerto Rican Festival Incorporated. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Comment.
Yep.
So out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to recuse myself from this because the president of the festival is my campaign manager.
Okay. And I'll just take a moment while we're discussing just on Councilmember Monroe's question. Last year, the city started providing services in kind. Prior to that, the services were charged. So I think it'd probably be most beneficial for the administration to provide you with last year's numbers. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so I will take a motion in a second on 163. Or did I already get a motion in a second? Who's monitoring my work? Okay, it's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion carries. Instruct number 164, authorizing an agreement with the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra for public music performances. I will just note that there was a handout provided by Communications, which I appreciate, that these are the 4 locations for the, what do they call it, Kara? RPO? Around the Towns. Thank you. I knew it had a catchy name. So we have an event at Park and Barrington, Susan B. Anthony Square, Maplewood Rose Garden, and the Old Silver Stadium at 500 Norton Street. And on top of that, the RPO Under the Stars performance, which is always really wonderful to see. Any questions, comments, or concerns on 164? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruct number 165, authorizing an agreement for the Sunday game tailgate event. Bill's schedule is not yet released, but as soon as it is, I'm sure we'll find out what games these are going to be. I know that Councilmember Vice President and Lightfoot, the 2 biggest Bills fans on the stage up here, will certainly be there. Any questions, comments, or concerns on 165?
Go Cowboys.
I need a motion in a second, please.
Motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruct number 166, authorizing an agreement for fireworks displays. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I'll just repeat that I will continue to ask the administration to think about making some real investments in the drone shows. I think fireworks are, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think they are losing their popularity, and I think people like the drone shows. So I'm hoping that, I know it's a lot more money. I don't think we have the appetite for that this year, but I hope we do in the future.
Move it.
Councilmember Martin with a question?
Yes, so just a comment. I will just echo Chair Gruber's comments. I do believe there are better ways to provide this form of entertainment in talking to constituents, especially those with pets. There is some harm that happens when the sound of the fireworks and the show goes on. So I do support a drone show in the future. So I will be voting no on this.
Since we're talking about, just for the record, maybe Kara, this is for you. What's the difference in cost between fireworks and a drone show?
The drone shows are closer to $100,000 each.
So $70,000 more dollars.
And actually, the fireworks show is only like 25 because there's a contingency. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I am hoping that when we're in a bit of a hopefully different financial position in the coming years, we can really have the conversation, because I think it is inevitable that we're going to go in that direction, I think. So I'd like to entertain that. But for now, Councilor Martin, hear you loud and clear. Any other comments? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Instruct number 167, authorizing an amendatory intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District for the Pillars of Hope initiative. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a comment.
Council Vice President.
Just want to check with corporate counsel to see where we stand with disclosures. City school district employee, it's not provided on the pink disclosure.
I think you're fine because we're just voting it out of committee.
Okay.
We will disclose anyways. The Council Vice President Harris and Councilmember Lupian are both employees of the Rochester City School District. But I am comfortable with moving forward with their participation in the moving and the voting. So 167, looking for a motion and a second, please.
I have a
Councilmember
question.
Martin.
Yes. Could you share a copy of the memorandum of agreements with council? And also, could you please clarify what the city's role is in the program? In reading the transmittal, it wasn't clear.
Okay, we'll get that followed up in writing. Can I have someone make a motion, please?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruct number 168, appropriating funds and authorizing mandatory agreements for neighborhood ambassador programs in the Monroe Avenue and Lyle Avenue areas. I would just say, before I open it up to questions, we had a really good work session about this maybe a month or 2 months ago. Appreciate the great work being done here, and I think there was pretty wide consensus from council who was in that work session, and I've heard from the administration as well. This program is going remarkably well. It's having a major impact on each of the 4 corridors it's on, and I'm only hoping that at some point we go from piecing together year by year contracts and offer a little bit more stability to the organizations that are looking to expand on this work. So I'm very happy to move this forward now, but I hope that the next time we see these, they're for more than a 12-month period. Any further questions or comments on 168?
I'll echo exactly what you said, Councilmember Gruber.
Thank you. Councilmember Monroe?
And I've only heard good things about what's happening on Lyle Avenue and the connected streets about this, that they're really seeing a difference, and it's giving opportunity not just to the people who are actually doing the outreach, but obviously the people who are receiving it.
So I will take a motion on 168.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Instruction number 169, authorizing an agreement for project and portfolio management software acquisition and implementation. This is what we received a presentation on earlier. Any questions, comments, or concerns on 169?
Move it.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruction number 170, authorizing an agreement relating to fiscal intermediary services for Office of Financial Empowerment programs. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not,
Move it.
I'll take a motion. It's been
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruct number 171, a resolution approving appointment to the Rochester Public Library Board of Trustees. I am disclosing for myself that I am the council liaison to the Rochester Public Library Board. I am only required to disclose this information, and I am able to participate in the discussion and the vote, and I am in wild support of Marcus Cooper joining the Library Board of Trustees. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instruction number 172, authorizing an agreement related to background screening services. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 173, a resolution approving appointment to the Rochester Civil Service Commission. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Question.
Yes.
Was there a reason given for Ms. Jimenez's resignation? Thank you.
Any further questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction number 174, approving the apportionment of taxes and charges. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction number 175, a local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of neighborhood commercial and residential parking areas for 2025-26. A public hearing is to be held on Thursday, May 15th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction number 176, authorizing an amendatory agreement for conflict counsel services for litigation involving the Police Accountability Board. Corporation Counsel, I'll ask the first question. We talked briefly about what it would look like to include any costs of the final appeal and this amount of money. Any updates on that?
Yeah, so I've got an estimate on that. So I think your proposal to hold this and we'll just amend it before the council meeting to add those monies makes the most sense.
Okay, so that would be my personal recommendation to the council, is to not have to come back for another pot of money for Mancuso in a later month, but to add the amount to this this is for money we owe him already, and then to add the money for the appeal, so that we have it all in one place and can move forward. Any questions, comments, or concerns about that? Council Vice President.
Is there any sense of how long the appeal will take? Is that going to be months or years?
It's going to be months, certainly. I would think it's going to be at least a year before we get to a decision.
Thank you.
Council Member Patterson.
If these are funds that we currently owe them for work that's been completed, why wouldn't we pay them now?
Well, we will pay them. Voting on it today won't get us to pay them until the council meeting. We're going to amend it by the council meeting.
Okay, that's the key point.
And vote on it at the council
Okay,
meeting.
but they will, so the idea is that you hold it, you will have a better number by the council meeting, you pass it at the council meeting, and then they'll still be able to continue to draw, as opposed to waiting till later. So this is just until the council meeting.
Correct. I would like, and I was waiting for Patrick's green light. I would like to bring it back at the council meeting itself with an amended number.
Okay, makes sense.
Council President, you go with that?
Yes, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to hold introduction number 176. Introduction number 180, determining and certifying base proportions, current percentages, and base percentages for the 2025 assessment roll. I would like I assume our budget director, but Deputy Mayor, feel free to jump in too, to just give a quick synopsis of what's being done in introductory number 180 and 181.
So this is an annual item that comes to you every year in May that apportions the piece of the tax levy that goes against homestead properties in comparison to non-homestead properties. We have to adjust the shift every year. It takes into account any properties that were demolished, any properties that were constructed, any large changes in assessed values. So at this point, what you're looking at is it appears that the homestead properties will take on 1.86% more of the tax levy this coming year, and non-homestead will give up 1.5%.
How does that compare with previous years? Is it pretty standard?
It really comes up and down based on the year. If there's a year where potentially a lot of Comida properties are coming off of Comida and back onto the roll, that can affect it. At the moment, what you're looking at is really somewhat of an adjustment, a remaining adjustment from what happened last year. I think we all saw how huge the values in the residential real estate market are going in comparison to commercial property, and that has not stopped.
Yep. And just explain one more time how the actual calculation happens.
So the first set of calculations is to determine the current base percentage, and so it is a worksheet that takes the values, the final values that we used to determine the tax bill last year, and the adjusted base proportion that was used to calculate the tax levy. That the starting value of the properties from the current year are then adjusted for those items, the changes in equalization and the changes in physical value. So anything that we demolished or any new construction, that then turns into your adjusted base proportion, which is used for the proposed budget to split the tax levy.
And prior to this coming to council, this all goes through and is vetted by the state.
Yes, correct. We provide this calculation to the state comptroller's office, and they verify whether they're in agreement with it or not.
Got it. Any questions from council? Councilmember Patterson.
Are we required by state law to do this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, if not, I'll take Councilmember Lightfoot.
Wait, yeah, we're not gonna let that slide like that. So we're required by state law to do this, but just for the record, this particular process system that we're using is what we choose to use. There are other opportunities or processes for making the particular evaluations that you submitted to the state, correct? What I'm talking about is the way that you come up with your particular numbers and the type of process you're using is a process that this city has chosen to use.
This is not a reval year, so we are not making blanket adjustments to properties.
But you said that you submitted something to the state for approval for the state, correct?
The tax shift calculation.
Right. So those calculations is a process that you use, that
Correct.
the city uses.
Right.
But it's not the only process of coming to the evaluations to be sent to the state. Are there other processes that other municipalities use to determine what you sent to the state for their approval? Very simple. The process that you use to send to the state for approval that the city uses, are there other determinations to get to the same numbers or process?
Our process is the same. We're not using a process unique to Rochester for what we submit to the state.
Okay. Right. So in writing, could you just let me know how long have we been using this particular process, and or if there are other processes that other municipalities utilize?
So I think what we'll submit in writing is background information, just as a good refresher for all of council on how this process works, because we only do look at it once a year. So
Sure.
Hopefully that'll be helpful. And I believe with what we'll provide, we'll be answering your question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take a motion on 180.
Move it.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Insert number 181, determining and certifying adjusted base proportions, assessed value, and net changes in assessed value for the 2025 assessment roll. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Insert number 182, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $55 million bonds and bond anticipation notes of said city to provide financing for certain preliminary costs of planning, development, and construction for improvements to specified city school district schools respecting Phase 3 of the Rochester Joint Schools Construction Board Facilities Modernization Program. Patrick, before we go into questions, comments, or concerns, can you opine on Vice President Harris and Councilmember Lupian for this matter?
Let me correct what I said before. I think disclosure is appropriate in this situation.
But they can participate in discussion.
Yep, because they're not directly involved in the modernization project.
Okay, so let the record show that Council Vice President Harris and Councilor Balupian are both employees of the Rochester City School District, but they may participate in discussion. Before we jump in with any questions, I want to offer Mayor Richards an opportunity to provide any introduction you'd like, if you'd like to, or you can respond to questions. Your preference.
Yeah, I'll give, if you'd like.
Sure.
I'll give an overview.
By all means, Kim.
Legislation.
Thank you.
Okay, so this legislation is for $55 million in bans, and what it will actually do is reimburse the school district for a total of $14,635,000, which they have dispersed already to the Rochester Joint School Construction Board to support preliminary costs related to Phase 3 of this project. So Phase 3 entails a total of 6 schools. It's for a total of $475 million. The schools are school number 9, which is MLK, East, Edison, Frederick Douglass, Franklin, and Wilson. So essentially what has happened here is that you council members have approved a cooperative agreement between the Rochester City School District, the city, and the Rochester Joint School Construction Board back in August of '24. And that cooperative agreement allows us to go out and issue a ban in order to reimburse the Rochester City School District for those costs that they've incurred as a result of advancing money to the Rochester Joint School Construction Board, and also to continue the financing of the conversion from Phase 2 to Phase 3 projects. So these are just essentially preliminary soft costs that we're looking to finance, that we're looking to issue the ban for. So we'll issue the ban, and then what we have to do is we have to get approval from the New York State Education Department for various phases of the project before we can actually go out and bond for these projects. But the intent is to ultimately bond for the projects. So we'll be issuing comita bonds for these projects once we've gotten the approval from New York State SCD. So that's the essence of the legislation.
So we vote on it now, but you actually won't be bonding for it until fiscal
The goal,
26.
We anticipate bonding in 2026.
Got it. Councilmember Lightfoot?
Yeah, thank you for that. Just a point of understanding process in regards to the bonding, because this is not, it says issuing, this is the ban, not the bond, correct?
That's correct.
However, when the bond is anticipated to be done, the bonding is going to require a supermajority vote. Is that correct through the
That's correct.
administration, right? And how is that impacted? So that means it takes 7 council members.
Is it six council members?
We'll look at whether it's 2/3 or 3/4 supermajority.
Okay, I just, knowing that there's disclosures that we've been told, right? And just trying to see what
They can vote though.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to see what that impact would be, and in the fact that would like to know what that supermajority would encompass, please. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councilor Monroe?
Are we going to be discussing the schools that are being worked on at all, or
Sure, happy to.
is this the time to ask that question?
Sure.
Okay. I see for the Franklin campus that work's going to be done at the Padilla High School. What about the other parts of Franklin as far as plans for modernization?
Franklin, as you know, is huge. It's almost 500,000 square feet. Bigger than
Mr. Mayor, could you please hit the mic button there?
I should know how to do that, shouldn't I? Maybe I didn't want you to hear me, but
Could you also state your role regarding?
I'm currently the chairman of the Facilities Modernization Board. I happen to be a joint appointment by the mayor and the superintendent. The Facilities Board is tasked by the state legislation who created these programs to manage and both the funding and the construction of the projects. So that's what we do. The plan and the projects themselves are picked by the school district, but we implement them. So for Franklin, the entire built facility will be renovated in some fashion. What you saw there was a description of the school that will be occupying most of it. There may be some other parts of it that will be done, but for the principal work that's being done there, most of which is internal heating, ventilating, electrical stuff that's worn and beyond its useful life, that will affect the whole school. And it's one of the largest projects we've ever done, actually. And as you'll see the number that's next to the presentation, it's quite extensive. It's a beautiful building. I don't know how many
Yes,
have been
it
there,
is.
but it's a really gorgeous building. It has a significant auditorium, one of the biggest ones in the whole city. So, you know, we need to treat it gently as well as making it up to speed.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With Padilla High School, what are the plans for, will they be able to relocate into a different part of the building, or will they have to move schools altogether?
Probably have to move off. One of the reasons for that is there's significant safety issues when you start breaking into walls to replace the heating and ventilation. Asbestos problems. It's kind of a dilemma. What we did East, and they stayed in the building because it was important to them. It was part of their program, and you know, that was a value judgment because it was more expensive. It took longer, but that was the value judgment that was made there. The same issue would occur with respect to Franklin. Fortunately, the district, who will control this, has the ability to sort of phase in the population of Franklin, which they're doing now, so that we don't get fully occupied and we have less disruption than otherwise would be the case.
Yeah, it was the disruption I was thinking of, knowing that they've had a lot of change recently. Yeah.
One of the reasons, two things. The district spent a lot of time, money, and effort picking these schools. They really did. And that is very hard to do. It's easy to be critical of them, but it's very hard to do because they did it in an environment where they have a declining enrollment, and where there are significant changes in the nature of the population. You know, many more special needs children who require unique physical facilities that we have to build. But one of the things I hope that comes out of this, and should come out of that planning effort and the work that we're doing here, is give the district a steady base on which to grow. You know, so the buildings are flexible enough, the buildings are finished enough and adequate enough, so it supports their program in a supportive manner that doesn't require them to get moved around and changed, all like that, at least because of the facility. You know, there may be other reasons, but not for the facility. You're giving me a soapbox here because one of the things that I think is important about this is I think when city kids walk into their school, they should be proud of it. And when we take care of it and we do what we're doing, which hasn't been done for, in some cases, 50, 60 years, one of the things we're saying to those kids is, you're important. Somebody's put some money in you. Somebody's put something behind you. And that's part of what we're doing here. And I don't think we ought to apologize for it.
Certainly not. Thank you, Mayor Richards, also for the work that you do on the board. And I just wanted to, fun fact, I guess, is that Franklin was I'm sure you know, was the largest high school in the country when it was built. So, yeah, it occupied a special place, and that auditorium is incredible. I'm glad to hear that that will be dealt with nicely.
Council Vice President?
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a marvel. I work in the building. It's a marvel to look at all of the masonry work that the construction people did, the masoneries did. But I have a question. I noticed on the Exhibit A in the transmittal, all the other schools had security upgrades with the exception of the East Campus. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, there's two answers to that. One, we have done extensive work already in East, so we're talking about finishing up things at East, repairing the roof, a few things like that. So we've spent a lot of money at East already, and we've done a lot of work at East. The basic issues at East have already been resolved. One of the other tensions we have, though, is that we're doing Edison this time, which is the only high school really on the west side anymore. And that has some structural problems that are going to have to be dealt with, and they're going to be expensive. And that probably means that we won't have as much money for East in this phase 3 as we would have had otherwise. But East is already stabilized. We've already done that. And the particular structural problems at Edison just simply have to be fixed.
Will you guys be able to handle I've heard that, and I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but I heard there's issues with the field at Edison Tech.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that and some background on that?
Yeah, I've had kids who played on that field, and it wasn't real good then. And my kids are, one of them's 50. But part of the plan for Edison is to redo the entire field area. As you know, that was built on a landfill. And so one of the things we have spent a fair amount of time in this planning process, and one of the reasons you're having to loan us some money here so we can get done and then we pay you back, is we did a bunch of tests in the field there to see whether there was anything in there that was either moving or might cause a problem. Pretty good results, all things considered.
Good.
And the city, to its credit, has been monitoring that for 20 years or more. So it's not as though it was unknown completely. So yes, I think we are going to do it. And we think that, that of the major high schools, that'll be the last place that gets a outside recreation area.
That's good news. You got 3 alumni sitting up here.
Yeah. We
actually.
Well, there's a strong base for that. And if we don't do it, we're going to hear about it. I know that.
Absolutely.
Great to be able to do it. Now, that's a good example. And the state does not reimburse you at the same level for that kind of activity as it does for stuff in the building. And so you have to go through a kind of an elaborate planning process here to make sure you can meet the requirements and also get sufficient reimbursement.
Thank you.
Just a question about the state of the world and the bond market right now. Do you have concerns about borrowing money for these projects at the moment that prices are going up and the market is wacky?
Yes, we do. 3 things are pushing on us. Inflation has been a problem for several years now, and that has been particularly difficult in the construction area. We have tried to plan for that and include it in our estimates. We do detailed cost estimates for all of these projects. But one of the things we're anxious to do is to get into actual construction and see what it really is. But that's one. Second of all is this tariff business. Tariff has hit the cost of a lot of construction materials. When we talk about it with the people we've hired to do this work for us, they're already talking about adding numbers. They're adding percentages on. So will it affect? Yes, it's going to affect the project. We'll be able to do less than we would have been doing otherwise. But so far, we've managed to deal with the most important parts of it and to keep going. And in terms of the interest rates, the interest rates on municipal debt have not been that bad recently. It's not what it once was, but it has not been that bad. So I think we have some extra advice on that, and I think we're going to be okay. If we're not, then we're going to have to rethink some of this.
Okay. Councilmember Patterson, last question.
Franklin question and an Edison question. Franklin question. Is there a plan, since you're doing security upgrades, is there a plan to do something around the exterior as opposed to having all of these boulders in place?
Yeah. One of the things that is in the design of all of our projects now, and it's a shame, but it's true, is we have to design for safety.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, one of the things that will have to happen at Wilson is we'll have to change the entranceway. Because, when it was designed, there were 3 or 4 entrances to the building. People came and went. Everything was okay. We can't do that anymore. So there has been considerable talk about ways to put things up there that don't look quite so intrusive. But I don't want to overpromise there, because I think the more important and the more security you need, the more likely you are to get something that doesn't look very good. So we'll do the best we can. We're very conscious of it, but I suspect there'll be some things about it that aren't as nice as we like.
Okay. Edison question is, you mentioned that there's still a structural issue. I understand that this has been addressed you've been working at Edison for the last 2 cycles. Is this still an issue with the whole band and bridge thing going on, or what is the structural issue now? Or is it just that it's on the landfill and it's sinking?
There's a common structural issue for the whole facility.
Mm-hmm.
It was built with what they call post-tensioning,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually long long metal rods,
Mhm.
string, and wire that is tensioned after the concrete is put in place, and that's what gives it its structural integrity.
Mhm.
It's the same way they build garages. And if those were around when the city's garage collapsed over here, that's what happened there. So it's also a lesson that you got to pay attention. But so that problem pervades the whole building. We have done some emergency repairs already to make sure that it was safe, including bracing some things, and doing some stuff. What you're seeing here is that there'll probably be some work that'll have to be done on Edison for the next 20 years. This will be the first 10 years of it, and that 10 years will do various things with respect to the way that the structure thing, and then have it be safe and not deteriorate any further.
So I hate to say this, but I'm going to say this. I'm Edison alumni, class 86. I'm the old guy on council. I graduated from that Edison, but that Edison used to exist somewhere else. Are we entering a portion or a notion of sunk cost by continuing to invest in this structure when it may well be better, those dollars may well be better spent imagining a new school in a different location or a new school at that location?
I don't think so. I'll give you an example. The money that we're talking about spending on this correction that's part of this program is about $10 million. That's a lot of money, but it doesn't approach what it would cost to build a new high school. And people have built them, so we're not at that point really yet. The other part of it is that despite these structural problems with Edison, which are important and affect the integrity of the building, they don't affect the inside of the building and the way the classes are laid out and the way the building is laid out. It's still got some, it still has some very significant design benefits for today's use. So I don't think we're at that point. That was one of the reasons we did all that testing on the field, because the feeling was, hey, it's time to come to grips with this. We got to decide what we're going to do here.
Well, you got sued too.
Right. Yeah. And so we did that testing out there to say, are we dealing with something here we can't deal with? I mean, is it something that just stopped this thing somehow? It was a mistake, but that's not the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your service, and I'm going to ask for a motion and a second on 182.
Move it.
It's been moved.
Second.
And seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. With no further business, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee stands adjourned.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Okay, so I think we have all of our folks in place. I want to say good evening to everyone. I pray that all of you are well and your families are well. I want to start off, we haven't done this in a while, and I'm grateful because that means that things have been a lot more safer lately. But we did have a shooting, and we lost a 17-year-old, Danielise Pabon Cubero. And I wanted to open up this opportunity to just have a moment of silence to honor her life. And I understand that there were significant things, a balloon event that just happened a few days ago. And I just was compelled. This, we heard Mr. Patterson talking about earlier about our babies, and this is one of our babies in our community that was gunned down horribly, and I just want to have a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, I will call the Public Safety Committee to order, and I would ask the clerk if you would please call the roll.
Councilmember Lightfoot.
Present, ma'am.
Councilmember Gruber.
He just stepped out
Okay.
for a second.
Thanks. Councilmember Lupian.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Monroe.
Here.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Smith is excused. Vice President Harris.
Here.
President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no presentations this month. We will go directly into the business of the Public Safety Committee with introductory number 177, authorize an agreement related to peer navigators for the Crisis Intervention Service Unit. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Councilmember Martin and then Councilmember Lupien.
Yes, can you provide some more information about how the peer navigation services will be used and how many peers would be hired?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we're working with the Mental Health Association to really help us give their expertise in the peers space to really figure out the best role for the peers. We have ideas of how they might be used, but we really want to make sure that their expertise is most effective with the team. So I don't have quite the details, but part of this agreement is for them to help build out what that looks like. And as it stands right now, it's going to be one full-time and one part-time peer.
Okay, and would they be employees of MHA or employees of city?
MHA.
Cool, thank you.
Councilmember Lupien.
So we've had peers on the team before, correct? Is this addition or a continuation?
Yeah, it's an expansion, I guess.
So we're anticipating that they'll be used maybe differently than the current peers?
Yeah, again, I think it's like we have ideas of how the peers should be used, but
Right.
this is to really work with an expert to tell us how it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that there's a wealth of information of how other teams across the country are using peers. You may be connected with Ann Larson and the CSG Commission on Community Responders, but if you'd like, I can connect you there as well, because they definitely have. Portland, for example, has a peer on every shift, and just to comment on how effective peers are, and I'm glad that we're using them, but if that would be helpful, I can connect you.
Sure.
I'll circle back around in just 1 second. Councilmember Gruber has rejoined us. Councilmember Gruber, just to bring you up to speed, we're on introductory number 177, where we're authorizing an agreement related to peer navigators for crisis intervention services. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns related to that, Councilmember Gruber?
I don't. Thanks for the offer.
We'll go back to Councilmember Martin.
So are there currently peers within the crisis intervention unit?
Yes, there's one full-time peer.
Okay. And these two peers, are they going to be with the PIC team, or are they going to be providing just general services to the other units?
Yeah, probably mostly with the PIC team, but the unit also includes the community support team and the homicide response team, so we want to see how they can be effective in those spaces as well.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Now we vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction number 178, authorizing a mandatory agreement related to firefighter physical agility tests. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved.
Second.
And second. Now we vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. There is an additional introductory number 179, but I will be holding introductory 179 at the request of our council president. And so with no further business to come before the Public Safety Committee, we stand adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Doesn't start till 6. I thought it started now. It's supposed to start. No, it starts immediately after the committee. You're right.
950.
Mhm.
Yep, I'm going. I'm heading there now. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't.